Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Miscellaneous Debris podcast with me, the Mad Chatter, Ryan MK. That's right, a lot of stuff to get into. Hope you've been well. Happy December, everyone. We are into it. We're in December. The holiday spirit is abound. Yes, lights up everywhere. Christmas trees. Too bad there's not more of the holiday spirit around, everyone's will towards other human beings. But lights going up, sales. That's a big one, right? See all the Christmas sales. It's that time of year. And winter is coming. For some of us, others live in certain places, don't have so many of the seasons, So we get into it. The good old holiday season. Talked a little bit about the history of Thanksgiving, shortly before Thanksgiving. And we're gonna talk a little history of Christmas here coming up. Got a lot of things going on with the pod, really. And I'll get into that momentarily. But winter is coming. It's cold out. It's cold here. It's actually been, not too bad. Only seen just a tiny bit of snow at one point. But it's been pretty mild here so far in the good old Rocky Mountain area. So that's been nice. But yes, the holidays are so weird because so much of it is marketed. And you look at, it's just insane what they advertise for kids today. I mean, it's not easy trying to, because, I enjoy watching my wife and kids open gifts. That's the one thing about Christmas I do like is seeing their enjoyment from it. But the holidays it can be rough. I mean, I can vouch for that. I've been doing living the paycheck to paycheck for years. And when you don't have a lot of extra income, it's hard to, figure out how the hell are we going to do that? And that's where the wife and I discovered, well, throughout the year, you check out discounts and sales and things like that. You try and collect stuff throughout the year. Because, parents, I mean, good parents anyway, they want to give their kids better than what they had, right? That's what I always wanted to do. And then, there's pressure to have a good Christmas. And I didn't have it terrible myself. We did all right. My parents did all right. My dad also blew a lot of money with his gambling addiction. He liked the dog track and the scratchies. You gotta love the scratchy tickets. I still occasionally play the bingo ones. I like doing the bingo because I kind of like doing bingo. That's something else I used to do with my dad. He used to take me to bingo. There's another. I also used to go to the dog track with him. Good times. But I didn't. I mean, we did okay. We were, middle class, so I didn't have it terrible. But I definitely missed out on stuff. I remember, I did eventually get a Super Nintendo for a Christmas, but that was really the only game system I ever got. When the original Nintendo first came out, yes, I'm old enough to have been alive for that. I was young, but I remember when it came out, I didn't get it. No. Eventually. But no, I didn't. Everybody else had one first. My dad used to take me to King Supers. And we would rent Nintendo games. And I would take them over to the neighbors to play. Remember my mom she never let us have Play-Doh. This is a completely different subject. It has nothing to do with Christmas, really. But it was just like, you buying that, I'm buying that crap and be cleaning it out the carpet. So I know when my kids first discovered the idea of Play-Doh, I'm like, sure, knock yourselves out. They got a little tub full of Play-Doh stuff. And they're pretty good with it. They're pretty good. Sometimes the youngest one gets a little careless, a little messy, but he does that with everything. It's not just Play-Doh, and it's really not that big of a mess. So it was one of those things. Play-Doh is one of those things where I'm like, okay, I want to let my kids check it out specifically because I didn't get to. And plenty more to come on my mom. She's going to be the subject of story time. So plenty left to discuss on her. Yes. Who was so harsh on me and let my younger brother do whatever the fuck he wanted. That's how it normally goes, right? You're the older sibling. So you're like the experimental child, You're the first one. So the first one, parents don't know what the fuck they're doing. I can vouch for that too. You can read all the books you want, take the classes, you are still like, fuck. So much shit doesn't make sense. Too many things pop up you're not prepared for. But you learn and things get easier. I mean, if you have more children, things get easier as it goes along. Even though like some children can be difficult. I would say the most difficult has been my youngest, even though dealing with everything has become easier, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's tough being the oldest because of that. You are the firstborn. Not only do they not know what they don't know what they're doing, so they don't want to fuck you up. So they can be all extra cautious, overprotective, sheltering at points. And it's not like I had an overly religious family or anything, but like super strict parents. I think my mom was just a bit overprotective because my dad was different. And again, that might have been part of the issue between them, but they were different. My mom was very overprotective. On the other hand, my dad was in ways too. But my mom was a little sheltering with things. But we'll talk again more about my mom coming up. She's a great lady. I've got plenty of good stuff to say about her too. But I got no real reason to complain about parenting. It was mostly not bad. I feel like they did a solid job. So I guess I can't complain about it too much. But the parents of this Michigan school shooter that happened, recently, 4 dead high school students, unfortunate how this kind of shit still goes on in this country. But these parents almost seem to encourage his shitty behavior. And it does seem like this could have been avoided. But the parents, instead of, looking at the situation as, oh, our son might do something crazy, again, it was almost encouraging him. So they were getting charged with counts of manslaughter, and then they fucking started trying to evade the law, were found in a warehouse. Like that whole situation is fucked. Parenting's hard, but holy shit. And the whole school shooting thing. I mean, there's been a lot of shootings in Aurora, suburb of Denver, actually where I went to school, where I grew up before moving to Iowa, the Midwest. Iowa, fucking Iowa. But yeah, a lot of shootings going on. I just don't take my guns. Don't take my guns. Don't take my guns. Over my dead body, you take my guns. These same fucking people that are all obsessed about guns don't seem to care as much about free speech, voting rights, equality, any of that shit. Just give them their guns. And handguns aren't enough, apparently. Everybody has to have fucking assault rifles. There was a picture, Representative Thomas Massey. This dude posted not very long after this Michigan shooting. But Representative Massey posted a photo of him and his family, some fairly young individuals in the photo, everybody with an assault rifle. And first of all, I see these people and I'm like, they do not look like they know how to handle those fucking guns. A skilled swordsman could probably cut his way through there and take them all out before dying. He might die eventually from his wounds, but a skilled swordsman could, like a ninja would fuck that family up. Those guns will not save you, Massey family of white privilege, clearly. Fucking do your guns will not save you if a ninja decides to take you out, So many people talk about self-defense. They really don't, they don't get it. Don't take my guns. Don't take my guns. Fuck your guns. It just feels like a good time to go ahead and take a break, right? Go ahead and take a break. And then we come back with the news, sports, and entertainment section. Plenty to talk about there. So take a break. No sponsor joke this time. Don't even know why I broed it up. I won't say broed it up. Don't know why I wrote it up. Don't know why I brought it up. I'm going to talk better the rest of the pod. I'm going to try at least. So yeah, man. Break. And we'll be back. As promised, we're back. Hopefully my speaking is better from here on out. But I had talked about Christmas and enjoying watching wife and kid. It's hard for me to think of Christmas gifts sometimes because normally the shit I want, I can buy for myself. If it's something little. If it's something bigger, well, that's an investment. Normally don't have a lot, again, paycheck to paycheck. So yeah, it's different. And but I had to try and think of this year, some stuff. Normally I have at least a couple things on my mind that I can offer up to my wife. And this year I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I'm enjoying those Alien and Predator toys. Those are kind of cool. I like collecting. See, I'm a kid at heart. But really, I'll take more weapons. And I don't, again, not a gun guy, but I love swords, blades, any kind of blades. I love medieval-y type weapons. I love cool shit like that. So, a flail. So the flail is the one with the stick and the chain and then the spiky ball. That's the flail. I would love to have one of those. That'd be kick ass. But yeah, it's really all I want for Christmas is just chilling with my fam and for them to have a good time and for the kids to get some of the things they want. Because again, so much pressure. There's so much shit, so many advertisements. The kids want fucking everything. It's impossible. So you just got to hope they're happy. And, if you raise them right, they're going to be happy with what they got. Comes down to parenting yet again, more often than not. But I also mentioned the plans for the pod. I got some stuff that's going to go, because we're approaching the new year, that comes shortly after Christmas, right? And we head into 2022. And it's crazy because it does not feel to me like that, like it doesn't feel like 2020 and all that chaos was that far ago, was that long ago. Okay, so the speaking was supposed to get better. We're working on it. And in a way, I still kind of miss 2020. I'm not gonna lie. Not like the death or the craziness or Trump or any of that, but I don't know. When we were quarantined, when I wasn't working, the wife wasn't working, and we were all just hanging it. I enjoyed just hanging at home with my family, spending more time with them, and being able to work on more of my creative stuff. I thoroughly enjoyed that. That might be the only thing I miss from 2020, but I miss it nonetheless. It's a damn good thing those murder hornets didn't become more of a big deal. Imagine the PPE we'd have to wear to go outside if there were, gangs of murder hornets frolicking about. It would be terrifying. But yeah, so big things coming. End of the year. And that means when we go into 2022, we'll be starting our third season of the Miscellaneous Debris podcast. And I'm very excited for that. So I'm going to do some things to kind of change it up and, get this to be as best as it can be. I'm going to try and get more stuff out on Instagram, try and promote this more, try and get myself out there more, because I feel like there's some good stuff here. And for those of you that have still hung on, thank you. Thanks for having my back, and hang on still, because we're going to try and rock this out. We're going to try and, a lot of what I was trying to do in 2020 before things did get all hectic. And even then, again, I was working on a lot of stuff when quarantined and all of that. So I'm going to keep pushing. And maybe 2022 is my year, but got some ideas, got some things I want to do. So I'm going to start getting into that. And we're going to have next week the normal pod, and then the week after that, I'll have a Christmassy pod. But I'm probably going to take a break after that, unless some crazy shit comes up that I have to talk about. Probably going to take that final week of December off to really get stuff ready for the season 3 premiere. I don't even know what premiere. The first episode of season 3 and 2022. That's the plan. That is the plan. So a couple more weeks of good stuff, and then a little bit of a Christmassy break. You know what I mean? So that is the deal. But we get into news, sports, entertainment, because entertainment, there's really some cool stuff that I'm looking forward to. This month, we will get Matrix Revolutions, and it's going to be in theaters. But I, like many others, don't care much about the theater experience anymore, and give me that shit just right on my TV. And luckily, HBO Max is still doing their thing where they're going to have some, releases coming out that come straight to that. And Matrix Revolutions is one. Now, I'm a little confused on the story. What's going on here? I could probably look into it if I wanted, but I'll just see how it goes when the movie comes out. But I'm not getting personally much from the little bit of the trailer that I've seen, but I am excited nonetheless. Not that the Matrix trilogy is. I might have sometime I'll have to do a Mad 6 on movie series, like movie trilogies, quadrilogies, whatever. And I'm trying to think, would the Matrix series make that list? That'd be a tough one. I enjoy it. But would it be one of my top ones? That's a tough one. But I'm excited for that. And then Peacemaker. The Peacemaker show is coming with John Cena. Big fan of Suicide Squad, as you know. Loved it. Might get mentioned again later. And Peacemaker, from the second Suicide Squad, they're making an entire, or they made, I should say, an entire show out of him. And I cannot wait. To check this out. And then, of course, the trailer came out for the Batman, which doesn't come out till later on in 2022, or earlier in 22, but maybe later. And it looks pretty good. And I always enjoy a good Batman movie, even though I wish they'd kind of get their shit figured out. There's all these different Batmans and all these different Jokers, and it's crazy. Really embracing the idea of like the multiverse. Scientists talk about how that shit could be really, really, like, you think about, like with scientists who've researched at Skinwalker Ranch, for example, they talk of portals. So if there's portals, almost of a certainty have to be a real thing, right? Too many people have seen shit. So like, how do they work? Where are they? Is it some sort of wormhole to just another planet, to another place in this dimension? Or is it a pathway to another dimension? It's crazy. It's crazy to think about all of it. Multi-dimension versus time travel, wormholes. It's all crazy. But yes. Also got the college football playoffs pretty much set up, right? You got a bummer of a game just because I don't like Alabama. But they beat Georgia, who was the number one team. So now Alabama takes over as number one. And now we've got that. Gross. If you ask me. So now Alabama number one, Michigan number two, Georgia number three, Cincinnati number four. So it's going to be an interesting little playoffs. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully Cincinnati can take down that Alabama team. It's going to be hard. Alabama is going to be stoked after pounding Georgia, but whatever. Stupid. I have issues with collegiate sports. I mean, sports in general. Because really, sports has a pretty dirty underbelly. And there's a lot of uncool shit that I think goes on in football in general, particularly the NFL. But when it comes to professional sports, at least these men are paid. At least they have say, but when it comes down to it, all sports have a draft. So these kids are getting out of college and they don't really get to say where they go to start their career. And that's unfortunate. That's one unfortunate aspect. Not getting paid for collegiate players. Now that's changed a little bit, with the new rules. But it's crazy what it's done to the sport. It's just, sports in general is just crazy. I hate seeing fans treat players like shit when a player wants to hold out or do that. You're supposed to do this for the team. How could you do this for the team? You do blah, blah, blah. It's like, motherfuckers got to get paid too, and they can't get taken advantage of. And that happens a lot in sports. And it's unfortunate. So unfortunate. Then you look to music, and we got Eric Clapton. Oh, disappointing his views are. Yes, disappointing. Can't side with Eric Clapton. Man, so disappointing. Clapton's all anti-vax, pushing those kinds of messages, refusing to play anywhere that requires a vaccination status. It's he's got a lot of people turning away from him. It's disappointing. It really, really is. And for me, it sucks even more because big fan of Clapton's music, and it sucks when things come to light about people, because there is the idea, separate the art from the artist. Like, Michael Jackson is a great example. To me, it's pretty clear that dude's a piece of shit, right? I mean, was a piece of shit. But does that mean you should hate all of his music? Now, for me, it's difficult. It's hard for me to separate the art from the artist, because then anytime I'm enjoying the art, it reminds me of the artist, and I'm like, fuck that artist, and it makes me not enjoy the art as much. It's like Kevin Spacey. Usual Suspects is one of my favorite movies of all time. Hard to watch because I just see that fucking dipshit. It is. It's it's hard to get into something when you know the person or people behind it were not such great human beings. It's I find it rather difficult. It's kind of like how, if you're a Travis Scott fan, like, how are you feeling? And first, let's not put this all in. There is some shit out there. I can't. There's been some people defending him, and I'm not going to defend him specifically. But I'm going to say, like, you can't put that shit all on him. You can't put that shit on. There were so many other things at play. I saw one video where people are trying to get a hold of a cameraman, like camera guy. If you give a shit at all about humanity, try and do something about that. Like, you are on video. If you get fired for trying to help that situation, that's going to get amended somehow, because of how big the story was. No one in leadership, no one in power, did enough to ensure that was, an event that was going to be safe enough and that they could do it in a safe enough way. No, nobody ensured that. And then when shit did go bad, nobody did anything to try and help the situation. It's again, disappointing. Disappointing for Hulu too. I mean, I'm disappointed in Hulu, not disappointed for Hulu. Hulu had a documentary all ready to go based on this incident. And while I'm all for information about stuff, particularly things such as this, is this one of those situations where it's too soon? As someone who's trying to get into stand-up comedy, it's hard for me to roll with anything like a too soon. But I do think with something like this, there's still like investigations ongoing. There's still like, you can't do that. You got to wait till all the facts are out before you start making a documentary about something. You can't, like, they can't have had a complete view of the situation, So I just don't believe that it was probably the best thing to do. And the doc got pulled. They're not going to release it. And good for them. That was probably a good idea. Good call. I'd say I agree. And it's just another situation of lives being lost so senselessly. And I know it goes on just around the world, particularly in some rough places in the world. And it's just, I don't know, it heartbreaks me, I guess is the way I'll put it. Boy, this pod is feeling way too down, isn't it? I apologize. I don't get seasonal depression or anything like that. The wife does. Yeah. So I try and help her with that. But it's been not too bad recent years. Not too bad at all. Being in Colorado helps. I mentioned not having much for snow yet. I mean, that's one of the good things. Iowa, There's so much snow, and then it's so cold all the time that the snow just sticks and stays. Anybody who's familiar with the Midwest knows what I'm talking about. And it gets all dirty and it's just fucking everywhere. And you're like, when will this shit ever melt? And that's just how it gets. But here in beautiful Colorado, that shit snows. It snows outside. That shit all on the no. It don't last long on the ground whatsoever. But yes, it is a little depressing just to think about, not to get the, again, to keep this pot so down, but it's just, there's a lot of bullshit and negativity and injustice in the world right now, and stupidity on top of it all. And not enough of us, not enough people willing to bound together, the people are to buy everywhere to do anything to change, how it is. So feel like I'm talking terribly on this pod. It's just all these situations, no need for shit to get that bad. No, we could be much more proactive. It's like with COVID. That is such a great example of the issue in this country, the division causing problems for the nation as a whole. Think about it. There was no need for it to ever get this bad. It began with Trump. It began with him and his misinformation. And you look at now, pro-Trump counties, higher death rates. Well, I wonder why. But these fucking people, they keep believing his orange racist ass. And then he came out recently, and I gotta find the quote. The double negative quote by Trump. This is what he says. Anybody that doesn't think, anybody that doesn't think, remember that. Anybody that doesn't think there wasn't, anybody that doesn't think there wasn't, okay, people, make sure you got that in. Quote by Trump. Again, all right. Anybody that doesn't think there wasn't massive election fraud in the 2020 presidential election is either very stupid or very corrupt. Yeah, because there's this person on Twitter who's posting all of the apparent Trump statements. And supposedly Twitter has a policy where they're not supposed to be allowing people to share that kind of thing from someone who's been banned from Twitter. But thus far, that account still goes along as well. But yes, this is apparently a statement from Trump. Anybody that doesn't think there wasn't massive election fraud in the 2020 presidential election is either very stupid or very corrupt. Our fucking country, this fucking guy. It just amazes me that this guy with the orange tinted skin and the prejudices and the grab them by the pussies and the terrible hair and the frumpy body and failed businesses and marriages and just general jackassery. That guy rose to presidency in the United States. This is fucking crazy. I still can't. But you fucking idiots, you Trumpers, you keep believing him. You keep believing him. You wonder why? Something I previously mentioned. Fucking stupidity. Stupidity. Same kind of people that get down for flat earth and QAnon and dumb shit like that. I mean, did their mothers not love them? Or their fathers? Did their fathers not love them? Must be their fathers. I don't know. But I imagine you get enough of these fucking people, shit for education, shit for core values. Mommy and daddy didn't love them. You start listing all the things and you get these fucks. I guess I shouldn't speak on that because, it's generalizing. But I just wonder what the fuck it is with these people. Everything's a goddamn conspiracy. Nothing's the truth. Everything's like, some people really just suck entirely. Some people are fucking stupid, just stupid. It drives you crazy. I mean, it reminds me, like, I once worked with somebody who believed there was a state called Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? Arkansas. Arkansas. Yeah. Which I thought it was funny because it's almost like you gotta wonder, where does he think that came from? And how does he think Arkansas is spelled? But Arkansas, I mean, is that just like a second, kind of like North Carolina, South Carolina, or more like Virginia, West Virginia, Kansas, Arkansas? Arkansas is the one founded by pirates. Arkansas. Arkansas. Welcome to Arkansas, home of raping and pillaging. Yes. Arkansas. Some people, I'm just saying, some people are really stupid. Oh my goodness, my madcaps. Let's go ahead and finish the pod off right. I gotta be honest, I'm not as sharp as I normally am. I know. It's been an exhausting couple of months. And I don't know, trying to get my shit together so we can gear up for this new year. 2022 is going to be a good year. But before we get there, we still got some of December left, right? And we've got Christmas to go. Christmas, as I said, good time with the fam, at least for me. I know I love it. And even though I didn't always get what I wanted as a kid, again, my parents did a pretty good job. Didn't get the Nintendo. Also, never got a Power Wheel. Almost every Christmas for the first several, I wanted a goddamn Power Wheel. Never fucking got a Power Wheel. I also really wanted, remember the pullover, like the pullover coats from when we were a kid. I do. Some of you will remember these. Some of you will be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it had the big pouch on the front. And it was always sports teams, right? And man, I swear everybody had one of those fucking Charlotte Hornets ones, the NBA team with the bam, Charlotte Hornets. Everybody had one of those, the fucking teal and purple. I wanted one of those so bad. Never got one of those either. There was some stuff. There was some stuff. My parents did a pretty good job. There was some stuff that they knew I wanted badly that they just didn't give me. It wasn't always expensive shit either. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? But in general, parents did a great job. My mom is great. She's wonderful. She's intelligent. She does a very good job taking care of herself. She's thoughtful, has good morals. She's helped me a lot, particularly trying to get sober, things like that. But my mother, by the way, this is story time. It's just kind of keeping in the theme where I've done recently, where it's just a few examples of different things. But my mom, this story time is kind of about her. And as wonderful as she is, she's a bit spacey, bit of an airhead at times. It's almost like when people want to make blonde jokes, she does those kinds of things, you know, just like, what the fuck? Like, to begin, there's the most recent occurrence. Squid Game's very popular right now. I still haven't watched it. I do plan on doing so. My brother, he's checked it out. So he's a big fan. Loves the Squid Game. Said, dude, you'll love it too. You'll love it. But check this out. I told mom she needed to watch it. Guess what she did? My brother then proceeds to tell me that my mother somehow watched the last episode instead of the first episode. So she was spoiled the entire series before even truly beginning it. And she even said to my brother that several times she was like, what is going on here? Like, for example, she found out they were playing the final game. What's going on here? And then her brain goes, well, it must be like where they go back. You know, what's the word I'm like? They're going to tell the story, you know, backwards almost, whatever. Not backwards, but what the hell is the word? See, this is why this podcast is not going to be one of my better ones, because my brain is just going blank. It's done that several times. Flashbacks, more like that, I guess, is what she was. But so she gets that a few times throughout the episode, like, this is odd. And then she ends up seeing the whole and the whole thing. The whole thing. She knows the whole thing. But like, so she was very disappointed in herself. That's just the kind. Like, at what point do you not just look and go, let me just check the episode number? Like, it wouldn't be that hard. We don't understand. Mom. I mean, she's driven away from a gas station with the gas pump still attached to her car, pulled the thing right out. And just so you know, they can do that. There's like an attachment that they're made to be able to do that. And she just fucking drive away with, pulled it right out. She's tried to leave without friends in the car before. We were playing this game. It's called Quiddler. It's a card game. You make words. Somebody made the word queef. My mom didn't know what that was. What's that? She says. We explain what it is. Oh, that? We always just called that a pug fart. No idea what queef is, but she knows pug fart. They are one and the same, people. One and the same. I remember she used to drive me crazy with some of the sheltering, this kind of behavior. Can't play Mortal Kombat because it has blood. Can't watch Beavis and Butthead. I would just find other ways of doing it. And I think that's why eventually my dad started doing what he did, because he was like, you are just refusing to let him do anything. And he's going to do it anyway. Just let him do it here so we can explain to him, teach him, educate him. Shaped my parenting style. And I've talked about that plenty before. But yeah, I also remember we had a real hard time between us after we got divorced, or we got divorced. My parents got divorced. And not to get it like super into it, but basically she was gonna, let us stay with our dad, which is what we wanted, and then she kind of changed her mind, which nowadays I understand why, but it was very tough on us to have the custody battle. It got pretty ugly. She kind of brought her new guy into the picture a little bit earlier than I think she probably should have. That's my opinion. But and so we had some turmoil for a while. And I remember at one point I ran away. And stupidly, I ran away to my friend's house, Hemingway, and he lived right next door. But his dad was never around and he was always on business trips and stuff. And his grandma was there usually, but she just kind of hung out and watched him. So I just stayed in his room while he went to school. And then, like, when his grandma would leave, I would run out of his house and I'd go to my house because my room was on the bottom floor and there was a window, and the window was right by the front door. But I would always leave it unlocked so I could just open the window and sneak in. I did that a couple of days, and then my mom one day was waiting for me. She busted me. And she was gonna go with me to school, to class, every class. Like, it was just, man, we had some rough times. But again, overall, I mean, she's made me laugh because she's done some of that airheady type stuff. And she's helped me out a lot. I remember when I was in the treatment center in Fort Dodge, Iowa, the one that worked, Community Family Resources. Much props to that treatment facility. But while I was there, my mom would every couple of weeks send me a box of goodies, just stuff like she'd get me from like Sam's Club, like packs of Shock Tarts. I think they're now the sour, chewy, sour, sweet tarts or something. Now they're not Shock Tarts anymore. But she'd hook me up. She helped me get sober in a lot of ways and stay sober in a lot of ways as well. She's been a pain at times, but a help and in ways an inspiration, and just more awesome, way more awesome than not. So, and my dad was good shit too, and he's no longer with us. Hasn't been for close to 20 years. So it's sad because he was a good dude. I think I did all right when it comes to parents. I ended up, doing pretty well. I listened to my wife, and man, I would say she did not do so well. But it's tough. It's tough. Life is tough, peoples. Your life is just tough. And some people are stupid and they suck. But you just gotta push through. You gotta push through. You gotta try and find the time and the strength to try and achieve your dreams. Spend time with those who you really value. That's what I would say. I'd like to do, more good for the world myself. I think that's why sometimes the idea of superheroes appeal to me, right? Because like I don't like there's too much corruption in like politics. Because suppose like that's what's they're supposed to do, is be for the good of the people. But so often, many of them, doesn't matter the side, right or left, they don't. There's selfish agendas, hidden agendas, personal agendas. There's not enough for the people, not enough on either side for the people. It's corruption in police forces and just all that shit. So that idea is not as appealing. I'm more anarchist, more anti-establishment. That's why the idea of a superhero is someone who just, like a Punisher, who is the number 6 on my Mad 6 today on this or tonight, I should say, on this podcast. Favorite superheroes. We'll do the Mad 6. I know. It's not been the greatest pod, but there's been some good stuff discussed, despite my stumbling and bumbling with words this evening. And I got to talk about my mom a little bit in story time. I think it's important, that time of year, take stock, remain humble, think where you came from, remember. And really, truly do stay, humble yourself occasionally. And the people that are most important in your life, remember, why are they so important? Give them their credit. And that's why I want, but the reason I went with superheroes is because of the whole idea of wanting to make a huge difference, but do so without having to use those constraints, within a political system, within a police force, for example. So we do superheroes. And I said Punisher number 6, and a little weaker in my opinion. The idea of the Punisher and everything like that is why I love it so much. But it's not like it's a comic, because I'm kind of going with like maybe not individual superheroes, but more everything that goes with the superhero, the comics, movies, whatever it may be. And yes, the Punisher would be my number 6. And I think you could put Avengers there, because the thing with the Avengers is that there's so many wrapped up into one that I hate to just, spit out the Avengers. Anybody who loves comic book movies, not anybody, most people, they're going to love the Avengers stuff, right? Because it's awesome. It's a team of superheroes, so people dig the Avengers, but yeah, I got Punisher as number 6. And speaking of the Avengers, at number 5, I have Guardians of the Galaxy because I love them. Gamora, are you kidding me? One of my favorites. And then you gotta love Star-Lord, Rocket. They're just all great. Groot, are you fucking kidding? I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. And again, they're part of the Avengers, so they get all wrapped up in that storyline, this Thanos story, like good movies wise. I'm not as familiar with the comic book storyline. And also wrapped up in that storyline, that universe, is Spider-Man. And for the longest time, I would always be like, yeah, Spider-Man. I don't know if he's one of my favorites, but every time I think, I love the idea of getting bit by a spider. And then all of a sudden you can do spider like shit. Like I was bitten by a brown recluse, fucked up my hand. My hand was fucked up because doctors were like, I don't fucking know. They have a better understanding about these things now. But back when this happened to me, it was bad. I had for months upon months had a huge crater in the knuckle underneath my index finger. It was crazy. But I got no superhero powers from that. That was too bad. But I always love that idea. And then you want to get into villains. But villains is one of the things I look at when it comes to comic books, comic book hero, really stories in general. What is the villain like? Because it can be interesting if it's just a crazy ass. But I also like the more, detailed, the more the villain who you more have to look, oh, okay. I see why he does so. The nuanced villain. I enjoy that. So gotta love Spider-Man because some of the best villains, period, in superhero stories. And then 3, X-Men. I fucking love that. That was one of my first, I've just been a fan. I remember as a kid, Nightcrawler, Gambit, 2 of my faves. And I do still love some Gambit. But over time, I do love villains. And Magneto. Oh, Magneto's so awesome. So a lot of stuff to like about X-Men. And then number 2, Suicide Squad. That's right. Because again, villains, this is villains team, and I love the idea of it. It's an excellent idea. Like, okay, we're gonna get this group of, we've got all these super villains locked up that have these powers. Let's use them to our advantage. Let's make them work for us. And it's such a good idea, And this path, the one with Idris Elba, John Cena, that Suicide Squad is fantastic. It just knocked it out the park, in my opinion. But number 1 is, of course, the Batman. The Batman. I've always loved Batman, always, and the comic stuff is great. The video games, I've loved. The movies, and part of it is Batman. That I enjoy the villains, such as a Punisher, a Batman, and Iron Man, that have no superhero powers per se. Obviously, the Batman, he trains. He trains to learn how to fight, but he's also got money to invest in the technology. Same thing with Iron Man, right? And the Punisher is just a bad motherfucker who unleashes hell. But with Batman, it's also the villains, and there are none better than in Batman. I don't think everybody's the big Joker fan, but like from Bane to Riddler to Penguin to Two-Face, Scarecrow, Mad Hatter, Catwoman, Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze, Bane. Just the list of Firefly. It goes on and on and on and on. Gotta love it. Huge, huge fan. If you really want to get to know the Batmans, or the villains of Batman, check out the show Gotham. That was such a fun show to watch. It was really good, and you really do. You learn so much about just Batman lore, kind of, a lot of good stuff. So anyway, that's what I got for you, Madcaps. Apologies. Again, not the sharpest of pods. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Just one of those nights? But hey, we're going to ratchet it up here. We've got the new year coming 2022, and we're going to really kick it off. But for now, holiday season, enjoy